You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin.
Hey everybody, how's it going this week?
Hey, welcome, David Hall. Didn't hear David Hall. Donnie Spiker.
Good afternoon, fellas.
Yeah, his mic works. Greg Hectus.
Callie's calling.
All right. Tony Groves.
What up, gentlemen?
What up? And special guest Mackenzie Stevens.
How's it going?
Well, welcome. On the show this week, we welcome special guest and new lounge mate Mackenzie. The Skip Barber Formula Race Series really heats up as the season nears its conclusion, and iRacing gives a peek into the new content coming in the next build.
And you can follow along with us in real time on your PC or mobile device as you listen to the show and see for yourself all these topics we're going to be talking about and discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. So hop on and let's see you there.
All right, welcome special guest Mackenzie Stevens. Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Well, real good. So let's tell the group how we met. You basically were listening to the show and you heard my call out for a potential teammate podcast host, and you thought you might fit the bill, and you hit me up, and boom, here you are. It was pretty easy, huh?
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be that easy, but I mean, I heard you say it in the podcast and I was interested, so I figured why not give it a shot, and here I am.
Well, the listeners always want a fresh perspective, and so that's why we always are adding to the group. But let's get to know you a little bit through our regular Q&A. First one, what brought you to iRacing, and how did you first hear about it?
So how I actually first heard about iRacing is my girlfriend's dad had been running it. So he got me onto his sim and got me to try it out, and right away I was hooked and wanted to start up my own sim and start racing.
All right, yeah, once you see it, you're like, what? Okay. Now, we talked about what you've been racing. So what series do you normally run?
Yeah, so right now I've mainly been running the C-Class trucks. I did run my first Cup car race last night on the NASCAR iRacing series.
Yeah, we kind of threw you in the fire there, didn't we?
Yeah, a little bit. It went okay for my first race, I'd say.
Now you've been running the truck, and so this is your first time in the Next Gen 7. I'm curious what your perspective of this car is. I mean, does it feel like it has more power? Is it better to race? Is it worse? What do you think?
Yeah, so it definitely feels like it has more power, and it's definitely a lot faster. It almost did feel like it stuck to the racetrack a little more than the truck, though. I was surprised at that.
All right, very good. So we're going to get you involved in the NASCAR iRacing series, and you're mostly an oval guy, right?
Yeah, that is mostly what I run.
All right, and you've been on iRacing a little bit over a year, and not too bad on the winning percentage. I think it was a little above 4% overall for oval.
Yeah, I think I have about 2 wins in around 40, 50 races.
All right, very good. What other disciplines are you running or thinking about running? Are you into the dirt or the road or?
So I do run dirt ovals a little bit, and I run road a little bit. I have been mainly just sticking to the oval right now, trying to get my license up a little higher and get some more iRating. But I do run the road and the dirt oval quite a bit too.
Cool. So let's break into what type of hardware are you running, like your wheels, your pedals, that kind of thing, and is it the same that you started with?
Yeah, so I'm just running a Logitech G29 right now, the wheel, the pedals, and then I have the shifter with it also. That is what I started with, but when I started, I just had it mounted to a desk. I do have a next level GT Lite fold up race sim right now, just because of space. The fold up was better. Um, I'm running a 27-inch monitor that just sits on my desk right now, but I do want to upgrade my wheel and pedals here eventually, but for now they work.
Okay, very good. And what about any third-party software? I mean, we introduced you to TeamSpeak last night. You were running that while you were racing, but anything else you run?
No, I don't currently have anything else like that. I would like to look for something for overlays and stuff to have a little bit better on-screen information.
Right. Well, you're in the right place for that. Uh, all right. And then you said a 27-inch monitor. That's pretty cool. Have you interested in trying VR? Or you or going triples?
I think I would like to try VR probably. I've always I've always wanted to try it. I think I'd want to try one before I buy one to make sure I like it first, but
Okay. Now you've only been here a little over a year. Have you been part of a team before now, or not?
no, I haven't been part of any teams until now.
All right. Now we kind of threw you in the fire. You were in the team speak with maybe 10 guys all running at the same time in the NIS. What do you think of that environment compared to when you race alone? You're getting all this audio input from various people. Did you find it beneficial, or what did you think?
Yeah, I definitely found it beneficial. You're running and you hear the other guys racing in different splits saying when they're getting cautions, what they're doing for their tire strategy and everything. So it makes you think about what you should run, and it's definitely beneficial.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely helps. Oh, cool. And do you do any other leagues or host it, or is it just official racing pretty much?
No, right now I'm just running official racing. I did think about joining a league, but I wanted to get my I rating and stuff up a bit first before I started committing to a league.
Okay. And so far in the year and 1 month you've been on iRacing, what has been your most memorable iRacing moment?
Um, I mean, my my most memorable so far has probably been my first win. That was pretty cool to get. I believe it was in the ARCA car, so
Yeah, you'll always remember the first one for sure, and they're not easy to get either.
no, you'd think it would be easier when you first start, but then you realize it's pretty tough. You really got to work for it.
Yeah, I always
Do you
tell
remember?
people, look, if it was easy, nobody would do it.
Do you remember what track it was at that you won?
I was trying to think about that. I can't remember what track. I want to say maybe it was Darlington.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
That's a tough track to get your first win. That's not bad.
I was thinking mine is USA.
Yeah, I remember I got lucky with a few guys wrecking, and I just got out in front and kept going.
Hey, they all count, man. You got to be there to take it. Well, Mackenzie Stevens, it's been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit. We're going to get to keep knowing you. You're going to be a regular on the show, and so welcome. Um, and uh, and it's going to be fun racing with you. So we'll see you on the track.
Thank you. I'm excited for it.
All right, as we roll into the topics, we're going to jump straight into the Porsche Super Cup round 2. Brian, take it over.
Yeah, so this past weekend was round 2 of the Porsche Tag Heuer Super Cup Series. They were at Magny-Cours. So Magny-Cours is one of the newer tracks. So it's the first time the series has ever been on this track. It had some really good racing on it. And at the end of the day, Charlie Collins takes the win at the track series opener for that track, I should say. So Diego Pinto, who is the returning champion of the series, he finished second. Sorry, he finished second place, and actually took the lead back. Took the lead of the points back after a strong week 2 finish. So Jordan Caruso finished third in the race. And in the point series, Diego, again, Pinto in the lead, just 2 points behind. It's only the second race of the series is Charlie Collins. Jordan Caruso is third in points. Zach Campbell, who won week 1, won the first round, is in third. And Sebastian Job is in fifth. Sebastian finished fourth in the race on Saturday, and to go along with a tough week 1, he's managed to get back close to the points series title. So he's got a long way to go to catch up if he wants to take his victory. But Diego is right now the leader in points as we go to next week, Long Beach. Should be a really interesting race.
Now, Sebastian Job is off just the hair. They show the best time, lap times for these top 5 from the race, and he's only off like a half a tenth. No, it's a half of a hundredth, yeah, I guess that's the way to say it. I mean, he's only off the other times just a hair, but that's enough to put him in fourth.
Yeah, and Charlie Collins actually won by 6 seconds, which sounds like a huge win, and it kind of is, but it was really a product of the racing that was going on behind him, because Sebastian Job was second for a long time in that feature race, and then as Diego and Jordan Caruso were catching him and trying to get by him, it slowed up those positions, and Charlie Collins kind of checked out at that point.
All right. Another event that's coming up is the ADAC Sim Racing Expo. I really wish we had something like this in America, but this one's going over on Dortmund. It began back in 2018, I guess, and is returning in 2023. And after a successful show last year, they're hoping that I guess this is the change in venue is to Messe Dortmund, right?
Yes.
Now that I'm reading this.
Correct.
So
It used to be at the Nürburgring circuit, and so they're moving it for this year. It was further north to a place called Dortmund, and the nearby towns include Cologne and Dusseldorf, should you want to throw in a spot of tourism during your trip. Also, there's a calendar change. It used to be in December. Now it's October.
Need something like this in the Americas in the summer. That would be great.
It would. In fact, the expo was asking for feedback, and that's some of the feedback I gave them. I'm like, you need to come to North America.
I'm sure once it gets going that some American company here will come up with their own convention, maybe iRacing. That'd be great.
You're in convention. Well, no, you're not in Vegas. You're actually over in Cali, right? I started to say Vegas is kind of convention town.
October 13th through the 15th will be the dates. The tickets are actually available now.
Yeah, we have about 3 decent conventions down here in Southern California that we go to every year, but nothing sim racing related. So it'd be nice to get something out here.
Now I'm sure there will be a lot of good content. Like with last year's expo, we got to see the new Sim Cube pedals, right? We got to see those featured as well as a lot of other equipment. This next one, all right, go ahead.
I was going to say that last expo was really cool. They had a lot of great stuff, and you're right, guys. This needs to come to America. I'm sure America's one of the bigger markets for sim racing apparel and accessories. So why not have it here? It doesn't make sense to me.
Is that
Or
3 day
have it
pass?
rotate.
Yeah, rotate it. Do what they got to do. Is that 3 day pass $58 or 58 euros? Is that how to read euros? 58,00.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
That is not a terrible price at all for an expo. So I'm curious the size of this thing.
Well, it does say in the article, we plan to welcome more than 30,000 visitors from the metropolitan area this year and round out their visits with other topics like car tuning, entertainment, electronics, and a job fair. So they're referring to the new venue, which is a bigger venue, and they're basically presenting this as we've outgrown the current venue. We need something bigger.
Yeah, sim racing's growing.
All right, now I'll pick up the next one because this one's definitely one that I found and gave a good watch because I was wanting to get the information about how the GTP rules were after watching the 24 and hearing them talk about it on the radio. Essentially, is it's they're using a maximum stint energy instead of and basically a virtual fuel tank as a way to decide to determine how much the cars have to pit, and they want them to still have to pit in the same time. If you race on the service, you know the tank size is about 67 liters, but the real tanks are over 100, and they don't need that much fuel anymore, especially combined with this new stint limit. Basically, they get 920 joules that they can spend per stint, and I may not have the exact units right, but I believe that was it. And the way that's measured is they have torque sensors somewhere on the drivetrain. I can't remember if it was actually on the drive shaft or on the axles, but they have torque sensors that basically determine how much energy they're spending. So no matter what hybrid system the manufacturers use, they're basically determining how much energy is going to the wheels, and they can only spend so much per stint before they have to pit. And if they go over that, they'll actually get a 100-second penalty. So at this point, they no longer actually have to fill the tanks up, and they actually have to spend enough time in the pit, even if they don't need it to fill the tank up, to fill the virtual tank up, to get another 920 joules worth of energy to spend. And the only way they can go less on that if they happen to it happens to be at the end and they only need a little bit, because for every second they get, I think, 27 seconds worth of, or 27 joules worth of fuel. So they have to spend 40 seconds to take it all the way up to 920. So they don't actually really fill up the tanks anymore. They basically just pretend they're full or not.
Wait, so are they charging during a pit stop?
No, there's no charging. All the charging is done basically with the I forget the acronym.
Braking.
The MGU is what it's called. The MGU is what recharges the battery, and all they do is when they're plugged in to add fuel, there's also a sensor that breaks a beam that tells them that they're plugged in or not, and that tells IMSA that they're plugged in, and they have to plug in for the 40 seconds if they want to run a maximum sin again. Another interesting thing that they talked about is they actually never really want to have the battery over 90% state of charge, because if it's fully charged, the MGU will not work as part of the braking mechanism. So if your battery is completely charged, you can't brake as hard.
And they also don't want the MSE to completely run to zero and risk the 100-second penalty. So they can conservatively pit, with 5% remaining or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, that's about the same. It would be a worse penalty if you ran out of fuel than even the 100-second penalty, right? So they have to mathematically determine what the fuel is instead of actually running out or not. And it's basically a way to completely eliminate fuel mileage advantages from any of the cars. And so that's how they get. I remember a few teams got warnings at Daytona, and so I'm curious if there's also a maximum amount of battery you can spend on a lap, though they didn't say anything about this in the video, or if those teams were actually went over the stint energy and they were letting them get away with it once at Daytona with a warning, because they every once in a while they would announce over the radio that a team got a warning over the stint energy policy.
Probably because it's a brand new policy. Probably first time's a warning.
That's impressive, David.
So how do they keep track of how much energy output you've done? Is there a gauge on your dashboard?
Yeah, there's torque sensors that actually transmit straight to IMSA and the teams, and it's based somewhere on the shaft. It's just a torque sensor that tells you how much energy you're actually throwing into the shaft, and that's what determines how much energy they spend, whether it's with fuel or hybrid, one way or the other. So how do you implement that in iRacing? It will be interesting because it's a totally different ball game, right? When you have a mathematical limit on how much energy you can spend versus actually going. They'd have to do quite a bit of code rewriting, I think, to implement it. I hope they do, but it would be interesting.
Yeah.
So you're saying the iRacing model doesn't follow this rule?
Not at all. No. You have a smaller tank. You just burn gas and manage your battery as you go, and that controls it.
So why would they restrict the amount of joules they use? Why do they keep it? Why don't they just make it unlimited and then everybody's on the same level? Is it?
That's exactly what they're doing, is trying to keep everybody on the same level, because not every hybrid system may work the exact same way. One may use more battery, one may be a little bit stronger engine, one could have different advantages in this torque area, and so forth. For example, when we ran the LMPs, not the Acura, what was it? There was an Audi and a Porsche. The Porsche would actually recharge on the straightaways, even when you weren't on the brake, whereas the Audi only recharged when you were on the brake. And it's completely changed the way both of the cars handles, and they were always having to constantly balance those two different aspects separately. So the idea here is just everybody burns this much energy, and they can tell how much energy is getting burned, and that's all you get. So it's for balance of power instead of against balance of power. All right, Donnie, something a little bit simpler. Why is there trading paints?
It wasn't so simple when I first got on. I asked the same question. But iRacer in the forums, Sam Halliday asked, why is there trading paints? He asked, what is trading paints doing what the default game is not doing? Wouldn't people just be able to share the custom maps offline without the need to run a third-party service? And honestly, long story short, it's licensing, right? That's why trading paints exist. iRacing wouldn't be able to pay for all those awesome sponsors that we run via third party.
If you run the Home Depot logo or the car, the orange car for Home Depot, and iRacing has the Home Depot paint in the sim, default style, would Home Depot try to get a license fee from iRacing? The answer is probably yes. But is Home Depot going to go after trading paints? That's the whole idea.
Yeah, I'm curious how that works. So this answered my question shortly after I got on, and I asked the same question to myself. I never made a forum post about it, but you're right. Like, what's preventing these larger companies going after trading paints? Is it just they're too small? They're not worrying about it?
Yeah, it's two guys. It's two guys, and
it's just going to take one of those corporate companies getting pissed that they see their logo on with something else. Not to give them any ideas. It's free advertisement to a degree. But yeah, trading paints all the way. We need it.
So Vern Cluckus in the forums, this is what he said for his explanation. Originally, there were no custom paints. Later, they opened it up so you could place a TGA in the paint folder and release templates. But no way for you to share your paint other than by emailing it to folks. The limitations were all to do with the legal risk. That's where the guys that do trading paint stepped in. They were the first to start a file share site. This solved the problem for everybody. So originally it was just a forum, a website where you could go and download your own paints, but then they made us, the software where it's automated, and it is what it is today.
And this actually goes back to the Papyrus games in NASCAR Racing 2003, because I was in the league for that game, and in order for everybody to see your custom paint job, you had to share it within the group the group that was there, the league, and they had a file that you had to download, and it loaded everybody's paints that was in the league, so you could see their cars. Well, which worked fine for a league, but like now with iRacing, when you have open series and even practices where you just meet up with random people, there's no way to have that communication with their paints, and that's basically what trading paints does. And the reason trading paints is there is because, yeah, if it all went through iRacing, then there would be some legal issues that they would have to dodge. Whereas if it's done with this third party file sharing site, it's around it, I guess.
Do you run trading paints, Mackenzie?
Yeah, I do run trading paints.
And since then, trading.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
sorry, mate. I was going to say since then, trading paints has really gone a long way as far as what they offer. They didn't really have their own paint functions that they do now when they first started. It was pretty much all file sharing, but they've actually expanded what they do.
Right, they got a paid product. I paid for it the first year, but I don't pay for it now. But the paid product allows you to have a day paint screen paint. I can't talk. A day paint and a night paint. So like if you're at Charlotte during the day, it's this color, but if you're at Charlotte at the night, it's a different one. So it's all automated. You can have different paints for different leagues, for that are specific to a league. So if the paid version is pretty cool. Also, the guy who runs it is named Steve Luvender, and if you follow NASCAR, you might have heard that name on the NASCAR Twitter. He writes for NASCAR.com sometimes articles, but yeah, he's the main guy at Trading Paints. It's him and one other guy who's like a database developer.
Is that Brian Simpson? Didn't Brian Simpson big in the trading paints?
No, I think Brian Simpson is the paint guy on the iRacing side. He's the one who puts out all the templates and that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, that's probably right.
Well, speaking of templates, he's going to have to be working on a new template because it looks like we have a new car coming out. iRacing has tweeted a sneak peek of the upcoming Formula 1600. And it also has an intro video for the new Circuit de Jerez or Circuit de Jerez.
Is this the
This
Formula
looks like a
Ford?
Formula V.
It's definitely one of the lower end entry level Formula cars.
Yeah, we speculated that it was the Formula Ford, Donnie, right?
Yeah, but I think we couldn't match that airbox to a Formula Ford, and I think that's where we were leaning. But yeah, so this is another lower tiered open wheel car. So this would go Formula V, this car, Skip Barber, and then the USF, or would you flop this with the Skip Barber car?
It is one step above the Formula V, would be my guess, because it looks like it, but like you said, it's got those air boxes. Now, the video they put out is fascinating because it's a track that's not finished. The grandstands, the trees, and all that, they have no color. They just have a shape only, kind of a white. Everything looks like it's covered in snow.
So this is actually a SCCA car. It started in 2011, and which makes sense why I haven't heard of it before, because when I was looking at SCCA. It was before then, but yeah, so it's a fairly recent addition to the SCCA. But it's running a 1600 cc motor, 1.5 liter Honda HPD engine. So that's what it runs.
Here's another interesting detail. You just skip around to something to like 30 seconds and pause it and take a look at the surface of the tire. That's not a slick.
Oh, it's grooved. Got a groove up the middle and slots off each side of the groove. Yeah, that's like a potential rain tire that can be used on dry.
Either that or they were just going ahead and testing the rain tire.
Yeah. Another comment I heard about the Jerez track is why this track? Apparently, there are no active series that run on it, is what somebody said. It's like a dormant track.
Well, we've done the same. We've actually revived a dormant NASCAR track in the same way.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I wish they had gotten a chance to scan Memphis beforehand. All right, so Mike, you have been constantly speculating who is the money behind ESL and all this coming up that's pulling all these guys in. Well, now we know.
Yeah, it wasn't me who figured it out either. It was one of our listeners. He put it in the Discord. I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but we got an article here that says pending regulatory approval, a holding company owned by Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, which is the government of Saudi Arabia, they have purchased the esports event organizer ESL Gaming and tournament platform called Face It. According to the Sports Business Journal, the price for both companies was 1.5 billion with a B. As part of the acquisition, the two companies will merge into the ESL Face It group and plans to combine their technology and expertise to create the ultimate platform for competitive gaming. Now,
So this goes
there's some money.
beyond racing. Yeah, this goes beyond sim racing.
Right. I think the ESL R1 series, which is sim racing, it's just caught up in this. That's just a facet of what ESL gaming is, which is a much bigger thing in esports, Call of Duty and that kind of thing.
When I read this, it reminded me a lot of that new professional golf tournament in Saudi Arabia that's just throwing crazy money at pro golfers to come join their league, and without having a history to it. So it really reminded me of that. And there's been some controversy about it, whether not trying to keep politics out of it, but Saudi Arabia has not been highly regarded among a lot of nations, and some of the golfers are being ostracized for taking the Saudi Arabian money. I'm not commenting on it either way. I'm just saying that what's been happening, and I'm wondering if this would bleed over to some of this professional gamers.
I also think that Saudi Arabia's wealth is in oil, and oil, globally is probably on a downhill slide rather than an uphill slide, in demand and use and that kind of thing. So I see what I see is Saudi Arabia is trying to, okay, what are we going to invest in that's going to be our next oil, what's going to be the future of our company, our country, and where is our wealth going to come from in the future? So what they're doing is they're spending their wealth buying up, like you said, sports entities like PGA. They're basically doing a PGA takeover they're buying everything related to esports, and so forth. So I think that's what's happening here. Now, how does Rinsport, that sim, fit into this? I don't know. Obviously, ESL R1 and ESL Gaming, they decided to use that particular model or that sim, but why? I don't know. Are they funding it on the side or directly? I have no idea, but I'm sure we'll find out.
The biggest concern I was going to bring was why in the world is a government jumping into this? But you actually kind of sort of answered that question in that they control all their wealth. They're definitely not a capital society, right? So it's all run by the government, and I guess it sort of makes sense. But this it still just kind of makes my head explode to think of a government buying into gaming.
Um, this I might have linked the wrong video in the next part of this, but I wanted to talk about Rinsport a little bit because it's related. Dave Cam did a video telling us what he thinks of the Rinsport product. And just recently today, Traxian.gg put out a video of a guy who did a video while he was at the competition, um, the ESL R1. He he got to drive the sim and he gave his impressions. He also talked with that one famous YouTuber, Emily, and she gave her impressions. Like she said, when you're in the car and you're driving, it's fun, but everything else is a little rough around the edges, was her feedback on it. The other guy who was making the video, he kind of said the same thing. The driving is fun, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
Well, if that's the case, they've at least got the right thing first, right? I wonder how their UI works.
They're still fetching my results for my standings.
All right, back to the open wheel side of things. We've got another event. Donnie, I'm going to toss this one over to you. How did this Skip Barber race go?
After a solid debut season in the Skip Barber Formula iRacing Series for 2022, Harley Houghton got a step closer to a grand prize at the end of the season, a full-time ride in the 2023 Skip Barber Formula Race Series, with a sweep of both races at COTA on Thursday night, pulling him within 1 point of Diago Pinto for the championship lead with 2 events left.
Yeah, so Diago Pinto is also leading in the Porsche Tag Heuer season. So he's definitely one of the better road racers around. And to be honest with you, I'm rooting for him over Houghton. Nothing against Houghton, but he actually races GT5 cars in the real world, and I don't think it would be fun for a guy who's already got a real ride to win this Skip Barber ride. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Yeah, it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd much rather go to an actual sim racer than somebody who's already got a lot of real world experience. But man, this is a 2 points between the top 2 drivers with 2 races to go for again one of the coolest prizes in sim sports.
Yeah, exciting. It'll be fun to see who does it.
All right, it's time for a little rookie hazing. So, Mackenzie, have you ever had any injuries in iRacing?
No, I haven't. I wouldn't say I've necessarily had any injuries. I had my hand cramp up on me one time though, and that got pretty hard to steer after a little bit of that.
Well, what do you think of this video from Matt Malone that's next up?
I don't know if
Yeah.
you can actually call this a sim racing injury, though. I mean, this is not from the actual racing. Um, I don't know. What do you guys think? Does this qualify as a sim race injury?
Does it look like it might have been done on purpose? I don't know.
Okay, so for the audio listeners, I'll describe what we're looking at here. Matt Malone is on in a road course race or something, and he's going like he's going to scrub the tires, and he quickly shifts his wheel back and forth, and he's kind of jostling his head around at the same time. And as he does, his headset microphone slaps right up into his eyeball. He just like flings that thing around, and boom, it goes right into his eye, and he's like, injury.
Poke in the eye from his microphone boom. That's the first one time I've seen an eyeball injury in iRacing. I've heard of thumbs and stuff like that, but this is a different one.
It legit counts though. I mean, it was because he was swinging the wheel so hard. I don't know if he was goofing off or
Yeah, that's the thing. I thought he was goofing off, maybe playing to the camera a little bit, making it interesting for the viewers who are watching him on his stream.
Right. Playing to the camera.
I think he was saying how with the direct drive wheel, you can kind of just whip it back and forth and not have to worry about it. And that's how it happened.
Yeah, he got it right in the eyeball, man. That was funny.
So I want to know, why is his microphone so floppy?
Was it
Maybe
his
that's the
microphone?
title
Or
idea.
was it
Floppy
his
microphone.
microphone? Was it the mic, or was it the whole set was swinging around on his head?
All right, that's a title idea. Floppy microphone.
No, it's got to be floppy Mike, and then we spell Mike Mike.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's terrible. Sorry. All right. So somebody we definitely always have our eye on as a sim racer who's turned to a NASCAR driver is Roger Carruth. And he was a subject of the USA Today article that's documented his path to the pro racer status.
Yeah, so this is
pretty
a
cool.
USA Today article. So this is getting to the top of the heap when it comes to news, I guess. Old school newspaper here, but just reiterates the story we've heard throughout the last couple of years. But according to him on Twitter, I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but he said this was the best article he's read about this particular story regarding him. So if you get a chance,
Yeah.
look it up.
And he's had quite a few articles about him in the past, but they've always been, sim racing based, niche type of papers or websites. But this is a paper that goes to everybody, and who might not have sim racing on the radar at all. So really interesting that they went to this platform. It's really cool.
Now, this is interesting. Is he actually still in college? Because it's saying he's still currently a student, having a full-time sim and part-time real-life car racing, and you still got time for schooling. That's pretty hectic.
Yeah, I think William Byron did that, right? With Liberty. That was still part of the deal.
It's a pretty good, thorough article that really kind of gives his history, from the beginning.
You cut out there. Well, Mike, your mic's not working.
No?
Now it is. All right, but that's pretty impressive though that he has that much time management. Probably mostly online schooling these days. You can do it that way anyway. This next question, Mike is always asking, "What is your next upgrade?" And it's being asked basically by Twitter by iRacing on Twitter.
Yeah, I thought we would ask around the group, what do you guys are going to get next?
Well, my upgrade came in the mail 5 minutes ago. My son brought it in, but I got the Gomez GXL Pro without the screen.
Nice.
So that's my formula wheel going forward.
Whoa, what color scheme is it?
All black.
Ooh. All business.
It's exciting. So short story on that. When I got the Sim Coaches pedals, I had the old Fanatec wheelbase for like a week, and then I got the Simucube. So all my lap times are coming down based off most likely the pedal performance, but I had to use my sequential shifter, my Fanatec, and drive one-handed. So I drove the whole 24 hours of Daytona one-handed, and I did not even think about having paddles on my Fanatec podium. Then I got rid of it. So now I'm gonna bolt this on this weekend and just see if my lap times improved over what I was previously running with the wheel and the pedals, and see how that goes.
All right, Brian.
So yeah, I think my next thing is going to be I'm still waiting for that BDH bazooka shifter to become. They've been talking about making it um, switchable to a sequential, so you can use it both as an H pattern and a sequential shifter. So I really like to keep. I don't want to get rid of H pattern altogether and just get a dedicated sequential shifter, because I still like doing ARCA races, and it's just cool using an H pattern shifter. It feels cool. It feels old school, and so I don't want to lose that. But I want to be able to have the sequential shifter for for the Cup cars, for all the new races in the Cup cars, and right now I'm waiting to see if they come out with that version. I think it's going to be awesome, because they got a really awesome shifter for H pattern, and if it's convertible to sequential, I'll definitely jump on it as soon as I see it's available. Now, my Fanatec H pattern shifter technically switches to sequential, but every time I've done it, it screws up. Something stops working after a while. So I just leave it in H pattern, and I leave it like that and just use paddle shifters for my oval races. But I really want to get a sequential shifter, a proper one. And I just don't, I want to do it in a combo unit. I don't know if I'll have the room in my rig for a sequential and H pattern.
I'm
That's
curious.
funny. Sorry, that's funny because I have the opposite problem. I can't go back into H pattern mode because it throws the wrong gears, and so I'm only in sequential right now. My next move will probably be I'm staying in touch with Lawrence and I'm trying to get in on the ground floor, even on the design of their sequential shifter. In fact, when we saw that box with the button box, I showed that to him last week, and I said, "Hey, put some buttons on your shifter, because that's just a really good place for buttons."
Yeah, that's a no brainer. I have an honest, like, how much longer is it going to take before Xfinity and the trucks start to get the sequential? Because I believe that Garage 56 car has PDK, if I'm not wrong, with its shifting, and I think that's going to trickle down to Cup eventually. So I'm curious how much longer Xfinity and the trucks run the H pattern, because I think that's the only reason I use my H pattern is for the truck and, well, ARCA sometimes, like Brian said. But I'm just curious. I don't know what's left out there for the H pattern.
With H pattern, I don't see a need for it myself. The sequential works good on any car.
I run the B car. I try my best to, whatever I'm driving, to have it replicated in my surroundings.
I wouldn't mind having it, but I don't care that I don't.
Nah, I
Okay,
get it.
Mackenzie, what's next on your purchase list, if anything?
Yeah, my next would definitely be to upgrade my wheel and pedals, get away from the Logitech G29 and go with probably a direct drive and some better pedals. That's for sure. I am with Brian. I do like running the H pattern shifter. So if I upgraded the wheel and pedals, I'd probably get one that has the H pattern and sequential, because I like using the shifter to shift rather than the paddles.
Yeah, pedals first. That's what I would say.
Yeah, we had a video from Dave Cam who emphasized that, if you have if you're wondering which one to go with first, the one that's going to make the most improvement on your performance is your pedals by far.
And you need a stable rig to hold those pedals too. That kind of go hand in hand, really.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring. I figured the wheel would be a little less of a performance difference. I figured the pedals would have the bigger performance change by upgrading those.
You got to be careful. When I joined the team spent the money for me, so good luck.
Get your budget ready.
Once you join the team, man, the money starts to flow. So be careful.
Right to the equipment section.
I think I wasn't on the team when I bought my V3s, but I actually ran V3 pedals with a Logitech rim for a long time, and didn't upgrade the rim until the Logitech rim and base just finally gave out and died. I ran it till it died.
I'm gonna buy next a new computer with a new graphics card. Um, a new build, a new computer build, and I know it's gonna be 3,000 plus. So I'm right now in the process of saving, get my little bonus from work in the next couple weeks, and going to stash that away. I don't expect to do a computer build until maybe summer or late summer. So that's my target right now. As far as other stuff, I'm good to go. I mean, I really don't feel like I need to buy anything else at the moment.
The other thing I was thinking about was maybe getting a sound system and getting, I really like what Mike's done with his loud sound, and if I can get some races in where I can get away with it, I think it would be really cool. Because if you have company over and they want to race on it, it's just not the same when they're on headphones as they are and the room shaking and stuff like that.
Yeah, wait till she goes shopping and run a race, and
I think I'll do probably the haptics. Realistically, my next project. Computer's almost done. Let's got to throw some RAM sticks in. And then I got two computers. Probably haptics. I'll go with haptics.
Butt kickers, everyone says it. It's like the best thing for immersion. I mean, when I added the one under my seat, right under my butt, I mean, I literally bolted it to the bottom of the chair. It gives that vibration of the engine. I just love that it shakes the whole thing.
I just added the pedal rumblers. That was a pretty big upgrade.
Was that the one we put on the show a couple months ago?
Yes, sir. Yep. Steve was on talking about them, and I ordered them that night.
That's right. How long did it take you to get them?
Forever. Yeah, it's like, I think it's just like one dude working on them. So I ordered them back in October, and I got them the end of January.
Now, Tony, does it look messy? I can't imagine you're running wires to the top of each pedal, and I mean it's going to look messy, right, with all the wires?
No, negative. He's got a very slick build. They basically have like, I don't know what you call them, like an offset motor, like what's in a like a PlayStation controller. Although these ones are a lot more beefed up, and there's two motors per pedal in a very nice 3D printed frame that bolts right to your specific pedal, because he makes them specific for each one, and it's one cord running off each one into a control box that you can kind of mount off to the side. So it's a braided cord, so it looks nice. It's easy to tuck away and keep out of the way. It's very clean.
And that's an inexpensive way to get some of that feedback, huh?
Yeah. I mean, not so much for Canadians, because we get screwed on all the cool tech stuff. But yeah, like this is definitely one of the cheaper upgrades for sure.
All right, I know exactly what I would put as my sponsor for this next car if I ever end up running it, because it reminds me of an old commercial. I do believe that I would have to have Miss Cleo actually be the sponsor on the car.
Yeah, so there's a picture tweeted out by iRacing with just the word Clio, and it shows a small sedan type car. And somebody told us in the team chat it's a Renault car. Renault.
Renault.
Kind of looks like a hatchback type thing, almost like a rally car.
Yeah, I used to run this in project cars too, obviously on a controller back then, but it's like one of the beginning cars you run in that sim, or whatever we'll call it. It's just a little tiny car. probably a 4-cylinder.
It reminds me of the car my son bought, the Hyundai Veloster. Pretty cool. So we got a new car coming. I mean, week 13 is coming, guys. I what, 2 weeks out?
This is the week 13 I do not look forward to.
Because rain.
I think we might get rain.
Because Lou's website.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. Have you been using the UI?
Hell no.
Oh boy. Good luck.
I have. Now, I'll digress a second. Now, Greg was running the Daytona 500 the other night, and I wanted to spot for him. And I purposely tried to stay in the UI to figure out how I could ghost his session. And it wouldn't let me. I mean, I couldn't figure it out. Like, I clicked on his name, and it gave me a spot, but it had like a circle with a line through it. Like, it wouldn't let me click it. And so I literally couldn't figure it out. I had to go to the website to ghost the session.
You know, time is flying, and I'm sure there's a forum post about this, like maybe the complaints, what we want to see with the UI, but we almost need to dedicate some time on the show in a couple weeks about the whole transition that we're about to experience. But you still have to use the website, and I think it's going to stick around for a while for like the small things we're still going to need.
Well, buying the content, they'll always redirect you to the website to make a purchase. Statistics, as far as I know, still don't work completely right, so they're probably going to have those on there.
Still can't tell on a hosted race, can you, whether or not it's practice or just race or just qual or whatever?
No, that was my problem with the original majors. We ran the Predator. I couldn't find it for the longest time.
The other thing I saw in the forums as I was looking for stuff in the last week or so is new people asking, how do I run the Daytona 500? Where is it in the UI? And people, like a big race like that, it's not intuitive. Like you got to bring up a series list. You got to find the NASCAR iRacing series open. You got to click it. You got to scroll down. Oh, there it is. There's got to be a better way to show, these big events to the newer people without them really knowing, oh, you got to drill in, like you got to click like 12 times to get to it.
And that's not really a UI thing because the website doesn't do that either. That is actually a really good idea for a homepage, is a direct link to that series.
Right.
Instead of having to go through other clicks. Yeah.
Yeah, good points on both. I'm looking at the UI right now, and you're right. There's plenty of room. It looks good. It has potential. Like you can throw a Daytona 500 fixed and open banner up there that they can click on. It has your recent results that'll take you to. No, it'll take it. Yeah, it looks like the A open won't take you to NIS, but yeah, they have potential for the UI, the main page, like you're saying, quick links to big events.
The reason you're only seeing A open results is to see NIS, you have to go back to season 1. Even though we're about to start season 1, aren't we?
Yeah. No, we're in season 1 now.
Okay.
About to end.
Yeah. So yeah, NIS will only show up when you're looking at season 1, at least on the website web page.
So the
Podcast
website is.
housekeeping. Oh, go ahead.
I was just asked, so the website is going away after this?
That's what they said. Yeah, you can't launch a session from the website after.
Right. I think the
build.
website will still be there, but you just can't launch sessions from it.
Oh, okay. That makes no difference to me. I've been using the UI for quite some time, strictly the UI.
Do you have any loading problems with the UI?
I have had 0 loading issues, not once.
So I haven't had any to launch a sim. I haven't had any loading issues in a while, but to load the actual UI, sometimes it'll say reconnect and I got to click that. That'll happen like 2 or 3 times and I'll get in. But once I'm in the UI, I haven't really experienced any issues in those regards lately. I don't know if that's when I moved iRacing to a whole different SSD that it kind of fixed everything, but so far so good.
No, I've never had a loading issue, either loading into the UI or loading a session from the UI. And at first, I was a little like, just kind of thrown aside as to the layouts and stuff. But yeah, I've gotten used to it. I actually kind of prefer. I've kind of gone back to kind of look through the website and um, unpopular opinion on the show, but I prefer the UI over the website.
It's growing. You may have mentioned it, Mackenzie, but what are you using, website or UI?
I've used the UI right since I joined iRacing. I never actually used the website.
That's probably a good way to go. That way you never know what you're missing.
Now, do you go to the website for like to check your series standing since you only run official?
No, I actually never even really knew you could do that. I never found that on the UI. So yeah, the only thing I really go to the website is to like purchase new content.
Man, you could be a champion and you have no idea.
Yeah, I guess that's possible.
You got to go check it out. Series stats.
All right, let me drop in a cut here. I'm going to cut this part out. Live audience, you get to hear it. To save a little time, instead of y'all having to upload, can we just re-record the introduction?
How far in?
That's fine by me.
Just to
At
the
the end?
just to the orange. Just go.
You wanna do
Just
it?
do it now, and I'll splice it around to the beginning.
Okay. You come to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis.
Will you start again? For some reason, it went. Did y'all hear it where it said "income"? Instead of welcome.
Yeah, I did too.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin.
Hey everybody, welcome.
Welcome, David Hall.
My mic is working.
All right, Donnie Spiker.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Tony Groves.
What up, gentlemen?
What up? And special guest, Mackenzie Stevens.
How's it going, everyone?
All right. On the show this week, we welcome special guest and new lounge mate, Mackenzie. The Skip Barber Formula Race Series really heats up as the season nears its conclusion, and iRacing gives a peek into the new content coming in the next build.
Yeah, you can follow us along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. So hop on and let's see you there.
Podcast housekeeping. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find the podcast. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We do appreciate it. Join the conversation on our Discord and our website, iRacersLounge.com. We are in regular rotation at the Performance Motorsports Network and iRock TV.
Okay, let's kick off the hardware section, sponsored by Metro Ford in Chicago. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to cut that out because there's something else. All right, Tony, it's time to talk some fantasy.
Well, boy, oh boy, back for another year. It kicked off, and it looks like Team Tifosi started off in real good fashion, but I do believe we got one fella in our top 10.
We do. Steve Llewellyn made it tonight.
The rest of us, I think we were all out by about like 10 laps to go or 5 laps to go.
You know, it was typical restrictor plate. Mike, you were leading at one point. I was leading. My son was leading. Tony, I think, was leading at one point. Yeah, we all had, restrictor plate racing. We all shuffled around quite a bit.
Now, I also remember last week that I was saying a little something about, maybe, putting Jimmy Johnson or Travis Pastrana in there. And Mike, you scoffed at me pretty quickly, but I know they didn't necessarily get the best of finishes, but right at the end, both those guys were looking pretty good.
Pastrana finished 11th.
Well, Stenhouse won.
Yeah, I had Stenhouse too. So, but the rest of my picks were terrible, I guess, or they just didn't pan out. And I was watching the race so I could make my garage adjustment when Tyler Reddick got wrecked early. So I swapped him out, and it didn't matter. I still, rest of my guys were terrible or got caught up in wrecks.
Yeah, I had Stenhouse or McDowell. I was going back and forth who's going to be my garage driver, and I went with McDowell. So I thought Recky was going to Recky, but he didn't. He was Ricky.
Oh, I looked at who's running dead last on the point, and it's none other than Mr. Greg Hectus.
Yeah, he was our leader last year, right? Didn't he finish top? I mean, Daytona is just seriously, it's a throw of the dice. You never know what's going to happen. You can really mess that up real easy without being your fault.
Right.
Yeah, the real season starts this week with California.
Before you
So
knew
you change your
me,
picks.
I believe I won Auto Club last year. It's one of the 2 or 3 races in the beginning, but we'll see. Probably no qualifying. We're probably not going to see him on track until the green flag drops on Sunday. So it's going to be another kind of difficult weekend to pick.
So you're going out to sit in the rain?
Both races, hopefully. Absolutely.
So is third place Dwayne MacArthur from the OBRL? I mean, it's got to be, right? Or somebody who's joking about him, right? Dwayne blew a tranny? Is that what that says?
Ooh.
Transmission. He means transmission.
Yeah, transmission, of course.
Now, I think somebody in the comments and social media said that the person leading was his wife. I think he said. I forget who it was.
Of course.
And then Justin Laird, a former teammate, he's running second for Laird Racing.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to comment on the creativity of some of the names people are putting in, and I know there's some more down in the list, but we'll wait and see if they kind of float to the top. But we got like Boozers Motorsports, that's pretty cool. Trick Dickle, he's back. That's always a fun one. NASCAR Jedi 2. Almost want to think that's Scales or someone that Scales knows, but yeah, definitely got some familiar faces, and we got some new ones. And what do we have? I think we're about 60 or just a little over 60 people that joined in for Daytona.
One of these names is a little intriguing. It's called Two Girls, One Amigo.
That's awesome. So who do we got for California? Who's gonna be the guy that jumps out of the gate and just starts taking things by storm on the West Coast swing? Anybody, or you think
Hendricks,
we got
Alex Bowman.
He finished top 5, so he might start up front. He's won there before, so it's very possible.
Bowman's
can't go
usually
wrong.
pretty good at the beginning of the seasons too.
With Chase and Bowman and anybody Hendricks, Kyle Larson, that's what I'm going to say for California.
And it shouldn't be as bad as last year. I remember sitting on pit road when the cars were going off for their first practice, and like Harvick and a few of the other guys, they crashed before they even came back around. First real test with that new car on a real track. So yeah, now they got it figured out, so it shouldn't be so bad.
Tony, question for you, buddy. If you park somebody in the garage before the end of the race, you switch your drivers. Does that count as somebody you used?
Negative. No.
Okay. So if you switch somebody out in the garage, it doesn't count as being somebody you had used already.
That's right. Yeah, only if he's up in your lineup.
In your top 5 at the end of the race, I guess.
By the end of the second stage.
Okay, cool. Because I like the guy I switched out in my garage. So, I mentioned I had Tyler Reddick, and I don't want to use up all his stuff on stupid plate racing.
No, you're good to go. You still got 10 uses of Reddick.
So just for the record, even though I'm not the best at pronouncing everything, anyways, there's no S in Hendrick Motorsports.
So with the X.
Unless
Hendrick,
there's
is what
multiple
you're saying.
Hendricks.
Yeah, I said the Hendrix cars, right?
Okay, it's time to kick off hardware software. We are going to feature the first thing before we talk about that. Thank you again to Metro Ford for sponsoring the segment. All right, let's kick it off though with the Acetec Forte, and we have a large number of videos here. I kind of lost count.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Acetec Sim Sports reviews are out, guys, in full force. And I think overall the reception has been very good for this wheelbase. In fact, Acetec is even putting out some tongue-in-cheek social media posts about just how good those reviews have been, including Will Ford over at Boosted Media saying this is the best force feedback he's ever felt.
Very nice. I wish the wheelbase looked a little bit better, but yeah, it's good. But this company did come out a couple weeks ago and indicate that they have supply chain issues, right?
With the quick release stuff, yeah. And so one Boosted Media's video, the title that he called it the Simucube Killer, comparing it to the Simucube Pro and Ultimate.
Well, it comes with a question mark, and that's literally how you clickbait things: is you just throw a really controversial title up and put a question mark on it.
A lot of the videos talk about slew rate, which is a technical term for, I think, how often um, the software refreshes. The higher the number, the better. The slew rate on the SimiCube is quite good. Um, and I've heard conflicting reports as I've gone through these videos that the Invicta Forte base actually surpasses SimiCube, and there's others that say they don't actually. So there's some confusion about that. The other thing is Lawrence. I can't pronounce his last name. His video, he indicated a problem with the quick release that if you kind of lift heavily on the wheel, it will just pop right off the base. Um, because their quick release is really unique, where it's got a little lever that you can just really release with one finger and then lift the entire wheel off the quick release. And um, so there was some concern about that. If you put enough force in it, it would just pop off. The other concern, as Will Ford said, he's concerned about the longevity of that quick release. That finger release is it looks kind of fragile, and maybe it will wear. So that was one concern he had of not very many with this base.
Mike, what did my buddy Carl Gosling have to say about it?
He loved it as well. I mean, it's a buy from everybody. Everyone says buy it. Um, there's a few little rough edges, like if you're gonna front mount it, you have to literally take the thing apart. Um, there's the remote kill switch has bare wires showing for that, and that was a little bit of a concern. The fact that they allow third-party wheels natively is a big plus for this brand over the Moza.
So I was just going to ask about that, whether you could mount other wheels on it, because it's
Yes.
such a unique quick release. So I guess must be some kind of adapter or something that you can use.
Well, at the Sim Racing Expo, they had a table where they showed like Cube Controls and Gomez and all these wheels that were able to attach to this. So they have some kind of, like you said, adapter or something.
Dave Cam had a video on this as well, and he really liked it. He was testing it out last week during the Porsche series.
So all the videos, the driving part, everyone says the force feedback feels good, better, better than SimiCube, better than Fanatec, but it's all subjective, of course. But I keep hearing the word it's better. Um, and so that's pretty impressive, to tell you the truth. If I was looking at a base right now, after watching all these videos, this would probably be on the short list for sure. SimiCube or this. Um, but like there were some concerns about longevity with the quick release. So maybe you wait and see how that plays out. But man, if you're looking at direct drive, this is pretty neat. Now, the other thing that was neat is the upgrade path. Like, you can buy the cheaper base they offer and get in at a pretty cheap rate, and then later down the road buy the OCB board and a bigger power supply, and basically turn your cheaper base into the better base. Without having to buy a whole new thing, a whole new motor.
All right. Well, we've talked about it a few times in the past that SimLab is now breaking into other areas than just the rigs, right? And what we have now is an Instagram post from their page showing their new XB1 load cell. And that says that it will elevate your drift and rally game with precision inputs. So it's a load cell handbrake. Looks pretty nice.
Yeah, I like the look of it a lot.
I do too. I always liked matching up, products of the same brand. And this would look really nice on my P1X.
I couldn't find a price on it. Were you able to find one, Mike?
No. It does say pre-orders start next month, but no word on the price. It's made, it's got the 150 load cell, 150 kilogram load cell, and it's a 2-stage damper feel, and you can with interchangeable elastomers.
So that means you can adjust the stiffness, I guess.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. I think that's what like Fanatec uses for their brake upgrade, is those things.
So as an American racer, I just don't know if I need a handbrake. I mean, it's pretty important in rally and, I don't know, maybe other disciplines. But when I heard from Mitchell DeYoung, when he was running rally, that, what, I never use a handbrake and I'm quick as dirt, then maybe I don't really need a handbrake. If he doesn't even use one and he's quick as dirt, then why do I need one?
I'm slow on rally without one. I had to buy a cheap Amazon one just to get quicker. I honestly don't know how they do it.
Use it.
I don't know how they do it unless they have the force feedback off, because that's obviously a lot of wheel motion prior to entering a corner and braking. But yeah, I don't know. I just have to spend time in practice. But I couldn't figure it out, so I bought a cheap like $80 Amazon handbrake.
All right, we're going to stay in the handheld hardware area, and what we have next is another buying guide. This time it's for sim shifters. It's posted by OC Racing.
Yeah, pretty nice little list of available shifters out there. And of course, not a full list, but a list that this guy has owned. And of course, he starts with the Logitech, that comes with the G27. The TH8A Thrustmaster, a very popular one as well. And then, of course, the one that's referred to as the generic USB shifter that's sold on Amazon for $70. He had a lot of good things to say about that.
Yeah. So amongst this list in my house, we have 3 of them right now, and I'm really impressed with the one that Bobby recommended to us about 6 months ago, and that was the SHH one, and that's a 3D printed housing. I believe the knob is 3D printed as well. It might not be, but it's pretty good. It's a quick twist, and you're into sequential. Then back to H pattern if you need it.
Yeah, $99 for that. The next one up was the Thrustmaster TSS Sparco handbrake and sequential at somewhere to $200 to $300, he said. And then the final one on the list was the Fanatec Club Sport 260. Isn't that the one that's giving you trouble, David?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's giving us all trouble.
Yep, me too. Tyler's had problems with it.
Yeah, everything else on Fanatec has run great for me, but that shifter has been terrible from the get go.
Have you guys taken it apart? Have you taken it apart?
Yeah, I have.
So
I've
the build isn't very impressive. I've had to actually send this one back. There's a switch down at the bottom that controls the sequential that goes out, and if I knew anything about it at the time, it's an easy switch yourself to replace. But the build on the inside compared to some of these other shifters, it's I don't know, lacks creativity, I guess.
And I had to reposition the Hall effect sensor, and I had to clean off the circuit board and all that stuff, and it ran great for a month, and then it started messing up again. And I was like, I'm not taking it apart again.
Yeah, if you take it apart, you got to be careful because the wire going to the board isn't very long. So you can easily just rip that thing off, and then you're on to soldering. But hey, man, I saw Fanatec all over the Formula One game I was playing, so I thought that was the best of the best.
It's marketing.
I've been real happy with their wheels. So
I've actually heard a lot of people compliment their wheels, and I was going to go that direction before I didn't. But yeah, I only hear a lot of good things about the wheels.
When I say I'll looking or buying all these expensive $1,500 Formula wheels, and I've got their standard Formula wheel for less than $500 with the advanced pedal module, and it does everything every one of those wheels does, and it's just not missing anything compared to what they have, and in some cases has even more. Other than a view screen and brand. That's about it. Speaking of view screens, this is not something you necessarily need if you're running VR, but Donnie, you might like this if you want to throw a dashboard up on some of your equipment.
Yeah, the Asher Racing dashboard in a 4 and 5 inch will be available on February 21st. What's today? So 2 days ago. Go to their site. You can check it out. On their online shop, and their link will be in the bio for this Twitter post. You can also go to our show notes to find the link as well. But a couple of dashboards coming from Asher Racing. They're the makers of what are considered to be some of the better Formula wheels on the market. But if you're looking for a dashboard, these look pretty decent, straightforward. They're renders, what we're looking at, but if that's what they're going to be, then they look pretty decent.
They got the LED lights embedded in the top and along the edge. Does say Asher Racing across the front bottom, though. It is branded. Nice little housing. It's a little wider at the top where the LEDs are. Got a nice look to it.
Sorry, Mike. Looks like there's the 4-inch version is 369 euros, and the 5-inch is 429 euros. So it's at your price point on that. Doesn't show like a real easy place for you to mount this. I don't know how you would mount it just yet. Hopefully they have something for you to do. And I'm assuming it uses like SimHub or something like that for their telemetry, I guess.
Yeah, I would assume it's SimHub. Yeah, it does indicate it does have a carbon mount included for Fanatec, SemiCube, and so forth. Yeah, Asher Racing has a great formula wheel that was on my short list for a long time. And at the Sim Racing Expo, they announced a partnership with I think McLaren, and they're going to have some really nice wheels later this year from McLaren.
All right, Mike, we had a whole list of reviews on one wheelbase. This one is just one wheelbase, or just one review, but we do have something from for the Moza R5 asking another one of those question mark titles: is the Moza R5 the best entry direct drive?
Yeah, Lawrence Dusawa, I asked that question in his video, and he seems to think so. I mean, because you get that small direct drive base, you get a wheel, you get pedals with it, and it's a package. And so somebody who's trying to look for their first direct drive, this might be a good option. It's inexpensive.
Yeah, this is
I don't
actually
know.
one of this is one of the sets I was looking at possibly upgrading to.
Hmm.
The only thing I worry about is the 5 Newton meters of torque in that if I just want more right away. So that'd be the one thing I'd be worried about getting this bundle.
Well, and like the difference between this brand and the one we talked about before is that one, like before, if you buy the entry level one, you can upgrade it without a lot of cost. And so, um, but man, if price is everything to you and you have a budget, this is a great price. I mean, it says $599 US for everything I said: the wheel, the base, the pedals, the clamp, the desk clamp.
Well, the Fanatec CSL DD, you do have that option of upgrading the power supply and bumping up the Newton meters from 5 to 8. It costs you a little extra, but it's not a bad option if you think you might wind up upgrading the force feedback.
Yeah, this is definitely in competition with that product from Fanatec. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of which ecosystem do you want to buy in. Now, Moza doesn't allow real other rims, so you got to go with a Moza rim. And so I think that's another reason to look. I'm really impressed with that Acetec wheel. The reviews were so good, and to hear Will Ford say such good things about the feedback, it's impressive. Now, that's quite a bit more for their entry level. I think it's 1,200 for the wheel, the base together. I think for their entry level one.
All right, for you triple guys, what do you think about wall-sized triples, Donnie?
Yeah, this is funny. My buddy sent me this a few weeks back. But Drew Build Stuff made a YouTube video of a life-size triple monitor setup where I don't know the size of those TVs, 55 inches that he put vertically mounted to a wall. This isn't, obviously he's not in a sim. Looks like he's in some arcade type of driving. He's on a wooden chassis of some sort. But I've seen this set up in person at like various offices throughout wherever. So the actual building of the TV wall is becoming a common thing people are doing for displays. Sometimes they'll just throw them up for art purposes, or it'll be like a view out somewhere. I actually really like it if you can do it nice. But yeah, this video is actually pretty good watch through.
I actually quite think that it's quite a waste of space though for racing. You're not getting any of the advantages of triple view. In fact, probably there's an FOV police issue because you can't even see the corner of the front of the front of the car. So you're not getting any peripheral vision. It's really far away, and those bezels in the middle are also eyesores.
Yeah, you're never going to use this. A sim racer won't use this. Won't spend the money to do this. But when you have a windowless office and you're trying to impress clients or whatever, you'll throw this up as some kind of gallery of some kind. But to sim race, no, he just built this to build it, and to do something cool. He's racing. I don't even know what the heck he's racing on there, to be honest. But it's not a sim for sure. But yeah, I mean, they can be cool in certain aspects.
I love the vertical FOV, and it's nice to have that so you can see above and down low. But like David said, when you're actually racing, it's not that an advantage. The advantage is being able to see all the way to the left, all the way to the right. And obviously with the monitors being vertical instead of horizontal, that's not the case.
Yeah, you're not looking up too much when you're racing. I mean, I don't know what you're looking up to, but not too much.
If you're looking down at the ground when you're racing, you're looking in the wrong place because you really shouldn't even be looking at the car that's right in front of you.
Gotta have high visual horizon. Which just means off in the distance.
All right, Brian, we have more Moza products.
Yeah, this is the Sim Pit with Sean Cole. He reviews the Moza HGP shifter, H pattern shifter. So I haven't caught this video just yet, but he compares it to the Club Sport in price and quality. But yeah, I haven't seen his final conclusions yet.
Yeah, he liked it. $149. It's an H pattern. It doesn't do sequential though. It's got a blip system built in to make it easy. 7 gears plus reverse. Yeah, and it's from Moza. It's got a nice look to it. It's kind of big, easily mountable.
What does he explain the blip feature within the shifter itself as opposed to using the throttle pedal?
He talks about it a little bit, but yeah, it's somehow built in, so you don't necessarily need to use blip in the game.
It's a good bit cheaper than the Fan Attack, and for qualities similar. That's $100 difference. It's a pretty good savings.
And like we talked about before, there's not a lot of options for H pattern right now. It's kind of like I said, it's on its way out, but for Moza to come out with, and this is a brand new product they just released this week. Pretty cool.
Mike, what do you think of this sim racing components rig we have showing here next?
Yeah, Sim Racing Components posted up on the Instagram their new 2023 FX Red Edition. They call it a newly refined design, unique features, and maximum comfort. You can even pay it over 3 months interest free. And what they show is like a 80/20 style rig. The uprights are at an angle, much like the next level racing style cockpit. Um, Also, interestingly, it's kind of got a formula style seating where the pedals are up high, and the pedals are actually on uprights as well that are at an angle, which is kind of a unique design. The other neat thing about this is that it's all black with red accents. That's where they get the red.
Yeah, this company's out of Italy, it appears. But yeah, I'm curious about why they do have a rig on their site with 80/20 as an upright, as opposed to this flat piece of I'm assuming steel to keep it sturdy. But not a lot of not a lot of modifications you can make to this.
That's right. With those uprights just being straight metal, I mean, there's only going to be one height available. You're not going to be able to go up or down.
There's a lot of different positions for the pedals to go, so the pedals can come down quite a bit and up.
Well, as far as up as down, that you have these long grooves if you look at the sheet metal, so it's still adjustable. You can control the height within the range of those grooves that you see on the side there, those long lines towards the top above the SRL logo or SRC logo.
Right. And then if the seat also appears, it can be set up right. So I imagine you can certainly switch this to a GT style seating.
All you need to do is lower the pedals a little and get the other chair.
Pretty neat looking cockpit.
All right, Brian, if it's motion, I'm probably going to send it to you.
Yeah, so we're looking at a Instagram photo from a guy calls himself Road to Immersion. He's built a motion rig with a 4 actuator platform system with a formula seat in it. It looks like this is a work in progress where he's building it as he goes. He's got those real nice Scorpion, massive actuators for movement, and he's got a real nice butt kicker right underneath the center of the seat. The seat is really cool looking too. It's a formula seat. You're definitely going to be laying back in it, but yeah, it's clean and nice looking. So I think this is in build. So he's still continuing to work on it, but he's off to a quite a good start right here.
What
Yeah,
I noticed
It's a
about
neat
this,
design.
yeah, what I noticed about this is instead of the square or rectangular base, it's a cross base. So it's just got a beam going right down the middle, and then it's got beams cutting across the front and back of the seat.
Yeah, I'm looking at his Instagram, and there's some pictures of it as it goes in that whole beam system you're talking about, David. There's a single picture of it with that on the uprights, and it's actually interesting. I'd like to see how this thing works. He has a rig set up. One of his pictures down here that's pretty impressive. He also has a sim coach's handbrake in the background, if you can see on that picture, the main picture.
I'm fascinated at how the seat is attached to this crossbar, as you call it, where the 80/20 goes right up the middle. And he's got a crossbar, at the back part of the seat and the front part of the seat with 90-degree angle mounts there. But then he's also got like a shock absorber. You see the yellow in between there. He's got like some rubber pieces with like a shock absorber type thing that on is sitting on the 4 post of the seat. So he's got the vibration. He's got the seat separate from the actual rig with these shock absorber things.
And that's so that the butt kickers vibrations don't go into the rig and all the energy goes into the chair.
Right, the butt kicker, he's got a
Yeah.
big one attached right under the seat, and like you said, that's shaking the seat, but it's not getting into the rig.
I would really love to find out, first of all, if he just kind of designed this himself, or if this is a company that's come up with this cross design, and what are the advantages of it? Is it lighter? Is that what it's giving you?
I don't know, but if you look at the left of the seat, that's where the butt kicker's at. What if you look to the right? What is that disc sitting underneath it? It's almost like a dinner plate size. Do you guys see it?
I saw
I
that
do.
and have no clue.
I wonder if it's part of the system. He calls it race base isolators. That's what I was calling the little shock absorber.
I dig it. I wouldn't mind following up on this later and seeing how, when he completes it, what it turns into, because I'm not hating what I'm seeing.
It almost looks like it could be some kind of speaker.
Mhm.
Do they make
I just
subwoofers?
Googled the race base isolator, and it's made by simtag.eu, and they sell it on their website.
How much were those Scorpions, Brian?
Oh, we had them on the show before. I can't remember, but they were up there. They were expensive.
Yeah, I really like this rig so far. I mean, like you said, it's a work in progress. He's got the seat, he's got the butt kicker part, he's got the motion, but that's all. That's it. There's nothing else yet.
All right. Well, that wraps up the hardware section presented by Metro Ford of Chicago.
Let's talk racing results. We'll start with the NASCAR iRacing series and finish up the Daytona 500. Friday, I got the pole position, guys. That felt pretty good. I actually dominated the first part of the race. I led the most. I was in total control of the race at about for up to about 70 to go. I was actually second on the outside, pushing the guy in front of me, and somehow, some way, I hooked his bumper and wrecked the entire field. I had 18 minutes damage. David, P26.
Yeah, I got a speeding penalty on exit on the first green flag stop, and it stayed green basically until 15 laps to go. So I was 2 laps down and never had a chance to get it back.
All right, Tony Rochette, P33. Started second, was doing okay, and just brushed the wall and wrecked my car. It was super loose with all the damage fixed. A few laps later, I lost it again and just parked it. Just to go get my ass kicked in some hard ass AI in Call of Duty DMZ. Donnie, P17.
Yeah, actually, I was running up front. I ran up front all week, which felt great finally at a plate track. But I pitted off sequence. I pitted without help. Oh, that's right. I pitted with one other guy who ended up taking 4 tires at the wrong time. So I went out by myself and just basically got stranded, eventually wrecked by a gentleman I raced the on Sunday morning. But yeah, P17. Good run, though, for the most part, other than the finish.
All right, Sunday Open. Brian, you got to run P10.
Yeah, I started P8. I stayed pretty much up in the front. Actually, led some laps as we were going along. Got a little bit of damage when this dart without feathers was wrecking in front of me. It was one of those guys that he was just everybody was complaining about him because he was just all over the place. He was running into people, and he caused a couple of wrecks. And one of them, I got a little damage. I just got pinned to the wall where one car comes up and just pushed me into the wall. Nothing damaged on the front of the car, so I got it fixed and I was still okay. And I actually wound up getting back to the lead, and then I wound up getting a black flag for passing the pace car of all things, because the caution came out right as we were getting to the start finish line, or maybe right before it. And I guess this pace car pulled out, and we were just creeping along the back stretch and around the corner. It still hadn't come, and I went into the pits because I needed fuel, and the car still hadn't gotten past me at that point, and I got a black flag, put me 2 laps down. I got one of them back with some cautions, but never really made it back all the way.
It's got to stop. You can't keep rolling.
Yeah, I know.
Just gotta
And
wait.
it seems so dumb just to park on the track to wait for a pace car. It seems really unrealistic, but that's the rule. I got screwed.
Hey, Mike. We forgot my Friday result there. I forgot to put it in.
All right, how'd you do?
That was the night that I was leading or in the top 5, and I ran out of. I was trying to run. I think it was 45 laps on a tank of fuel, and I ran out, or I had to pit with 1 to go, and I think I finished. I think it was P12, but I had a chance to win it if I probably just would have pitted with the guys that did the splash and go. I probably could have fought for the win, but I tried to push it and just didn't work.
All right. Tony Rochette, P30, started on the pole, fell back a little, survived some stuff with a very aggressive car that was just pushing everyone out of the way. Welp, a little over halfway, that car caused a wreck that couldn't avoid and just killed the front end. Welp, no repeat 500 win, but let's get it for the last time around the 2 Mile Auto Club. David, wrecked out.
Yeah, I've ended up never having a good result at Daytona, even though I was a front runner in every race. This one just kind of riding in the front, and we have a guy on one of the restarts who's not a very good plate racer, tucked down and in during the restart, kind of get in front of us, and he just could not maintain a steady pace. He would keep closing in on the group in front and then checking up hard. And he checked up hard one time, and instinctively I moved to the side instead of just running him over. and then I got hit from behind, unavoidable for the guy from behind though. So just no luck at Daytona.
All right, Donnie, P6.
Yeah, this was much better. Ran up front most of the race, led a lap. I was able to lead a lap in all 3 series that week, so it was good. Trying to figure out why I finished 6. No, nothing. A pretty uneventful race. We did have a guy, probably to Brian's point, we had a guy that everybody was calling out racing on a controller. He actually did cause a couple incidents. Luckily, I got to avoid him. But yeah, I mean, they were getting pretty angry at this guy and like threatening everything to get the guy off. He ended up wrecking himself out to be completely out. But I guess they can tell just by how he was driving that he was on a controller. But he wouldn't pipe up and say anything. But other than that, P6.
We raced against a guy who's in a controller, and you can do it properly. It's really hard.
Yeah, this guy wasn't. He was at least a 1.5 lane weaver.
All right, Sunday fixed. My last chance. I wrecked out. I actually led some laps. I ran top 5, top 10. Around halfway, I was running, and the guy in front of me was high. I went low. I ended up on the apron. I got pushed into the grass and then wrecked real hard. 8 minutes damage. So I parked it. Greg, P5.
Yeah, Mike, you came in and helped me out a bit there near the end, but I was kind of frustrated at the beginning of this race because I got coming off of turn 4. One of the guys was trying to bump draft me for no reason. I don't know why. And he turned me, and I clipped the cone onto pit road, and it gave me 36-second penalty to come down pit road, do a stop and go. And so I did that, and by the time I got up to speed and everything, I was 2 laps down, or 1 and a bit laps down. But then this is the thing that bothers me about Daytona.
Yeah, you had to pit.
Yeah, so the thing that bothered me about this whole thing, though, Mike, is when they were yelling at me, because I stayed, David, when we stay on the bottom and you let them go around the outside of you, I broke up their pack, and there was a breakaway of like 8 or 9 cars, and I broke them up when they had to pass me, and they were so pissed at me for getting involved. They're like, it's not, you're 2 laps down, it's not worth it. I said, the race isn't over. It's 50 laps in. I'm not quitting. And by lap, I think it was 1:15, I had both my laps back, and I was like, this is why you don't quit. This is why you do whatever you can. If you want to go to the top and let everybody by, you might as well just exit the race and not do it. Because I was trying to stay in it. Mike, you came back after your race was done and spotted for me, got me back through the field. I came from the back to the front, and I just didn't have the luck in the last lap.
Yeah, in my race where I
Yeah.
was 2 laps down, I backed off and went up. One, because I had no chance. There was only like 5 laps left. I was coming out of the pits from having to top off. So at that point, it was the benefit of doing them a favor was bigger. I wasn't going to get 2 laps back with only 5 to go. But in your situation, I would have stayed down there and tried to take a chance to even race back one of my laps.
Well, the thing that bothered me the most is the fact that they were basically discrediting my credibility, that I'm not I don't know what I'm doing, or the fact that the one guy said, you know what, you're not going to get any breaks in the race. I'm like, I'm not in here to get breaks. You don't give breaks later in the race. You give breaks at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, and you don't have to have their respect in that situation. Most of the time, people will forget stuff like that later anyway.
And I want to point out it was a long race, so you lost your lap. You took a wave around as a chance to get it back. It didn't play out because it went green. You had to pit for fuel and lose the lap again, and you were right back where you were. But it's such a long race. You just wait for the next one, and you finally got a wave around, and then you got a caution, and so you were able to get on the lead lap, on the same fuel, and then it was time to go. But boy, at the end there, we just weren't making the right moves. I mean, you were in position to win, but the way the lines were lining up, like the bottom was dominant, and then it was the top, and then it was the bottom. We were just picking the wrong one.
Yeah, it was all over the place, and like you were saying there, once I got to one lap down where I could go and fight for the lucky dog, then it's on. Like that's when I started racing again. I didn't mean to break up their pack. That fixed set is so loose when they try and go around the outside and you turn down, which they were doing in the middle of the corner. They got loose and they broke apart because of it. If you would have just stayed up top, let gone by, and I would have gone on the back of them, it just I don't know what there was just a couple guys mad because it broke it up, and it's on their racing skills and what they did, not what I did.
All right, let's move on to California, Fontana, AAA Auto Club, whatever you want to call it. And man, I was really surprised at how good we ran. Let's go.
Tifosi Auto Club.
P3, Tony Rochette had a strong long run car, had a second and a half lead with 8 to go, and bam, caution. One car on 40 lap tires stayed out and blocked me and had 2 cars get by me. A green white checker later just couldn't get up to rip the top, and I sucked on new tires. P3. Steve Llewellyn, P5. He said he got spun and came from the back twice. David, P19.
You probably should have saved me for last, since I'm the only one not in the top 10.
You're in the top split, we know.
No, it was second split actually, but it was a 4,500 second split. So, I was actually the car 33, so you got to be happy with the P19 in that situation. Decent long run speed, but we had cautions every 10 laps for the first half of the race. So I started getting some of the positions back first by just avoiding the cautions, and then I showed some decent long run speed, but there's still just a lot of fast guys. Cali's not my best track anyway, so we'll call P19 okay.
Hey, and then Greg, P2.
Yeah, so this race was interesting, but it was kind of like playing out to be a fuel style mileage race, and then we got some late cautions, and I was just up front most of the race, stayed there, and I was P2, all 3 green white checkers, and I was racing with the guy on the last lap, and I couldn't do it on that last restart. I just didn't have enough. Each one of those restarts, I was burning the right front off of it. I don't think I had anything left in that right front on those green white checkers, but I'll take the P2.
Right? And then my finish, P3. I actually had a great car. I got doored at one point, had damage, got half of it fixed, came up from the back after that to finish P3. It was a great run. I was actually a little bit in shock about how I ran. Now, as we approached the end of the race, I was coming. I mean, if I had 2 or 3 more laps, I might have had something for the lead. So very happy with the result. Tyler Williamson, P5. Finally, a solid run after a string of the Daytona Blues. Started 35th and raced my way up. Used the high line the entire race, keeping the tires cool. Several cautions around each pit stop helped make my way through traffic after 2 mistakes blowing my pit box. Able to save enough tire for the end and took 5th. Seeing green on the SR and IR, let's go. All right, and then finally, we have a winner, Tom Dreiling. He wins. He started 29th. He doesn't like to qualify. He likes the back end pit boxes. He worked his way up through the first half of the race, was able to get myself into a top 5 spot when the caution started coming. Was able to get to the lead with 10 to go. After 2 green white checker attempts, I was able to hold off everyone to capture my first win of the season and my 21st NIS career win. Well done, Tom. Steve McKenzie, you got your first NIS start, and it was P30.
Yeah, it was a rough start to the race. I started 20th, got up to about 15th, and then on the third lap, there was a guy on the low line, and I don't know what happened. He just slid right up, hit me, put me into the wall. I go into the pits, and I had 30 minutes required, or 30 seconds required, and like 4.5 minutes optional. So I did the required, a little bit of the optional, tried to go back out to stay only a couple laps down, but the car just just wouldn't drive. It wouldn't turn. It was shaking everywhere. So I went and fixed the rest of the damage and was 15 laps down, but the car was running well after all the damage was fixed. And I came out after fixing it all in about 35th and got up to 30 after. So aside from the start, it was a good run.
Right. Well, welcome to the series. I think you'll do well. Thursday Open, it was Tony Rochette, P18. I took the day off from the ice storm we had last night. Started 6, was okay till I caught the wall and fell back, and then caught in a 4-wide situation with me on the top in turn 3. Made my way to the top 10 from the back, and then had 2 cars in front wreck and had to go to the back again. P18. All right, other official racing. I ran the Formula IRO4 at Bolton Park Circuit. I qualified 14th out of 23. Man, I got to P6 by the end of lap 1. Finally got to the inside of a guy on a hairpin turn. He dogged me down to the grass. I fell back to 15th. Somehow, some way, I rallied all the way from 15th back up to 8th. It was my first race in the car. Second race, ran the Formula IR at Road America. We switched weeks. I qualified 11th, got to P6 by the end of lap 1. Eventually got to 3rd, but spun and fell back to 6th. Had a great battle with 5th there at the end. Next, I ran a Dallara Dash at Daytona, wrecked it out. And then finally a Formula IR04 at Road Atlanta, qualified P6, got to P4 by the end of lap 1. Stayed in it till the end and finally got to 3rd, a great podium finish. Love this car. David Hall, A Open, P4.
Yeah, this one was another 4,500 strength of field, but it was a little bit more wide split because the splits from the top to the bottom are bigger on A Open, since they happen so much more often. This one was neat because I set my fastest lap on 73 out of 80, and was pretty neat because usually I'm not. Well, that part set the fact that I usually do run faster at the end. But what was really neat was that I had the fastest lap in the whole field. I'm not a great hot lapper, but I was right up there in the draft and racing with the leaders, and I really learned to run the high line really well against a lot of guys who would just go to the low line. And if they go to the low line, I could either ride the wall or run kind of the second middle lane and just drive in deeper, but still be able to get on the gas at the same time, which is very counterintuitive for usually the ovals. You want to get off as early as you can, but it seems like turn 3 you're at a bigger advantage if you drive in deeper on the high side. So that was pretty neat to get that high, and it had my hopes up for the NIS race, but there was just too many more people that were even with me in speed in the NIS race.
Okay, Greg, A Open, P1.
Yeah, this was an awesome end of a race. There was 2 cautions early, and guys were taking tires, and I decided on one of the cautions just to fill it up with fuel, see if we're gonna get a fuel mileage race and just run it in the back. And there was a caution with I think 15 or 10 to 15 to go, and I got the new set of tires on, and I drove from 27th up to the lead, and I absolutely hung on a green white checker, and it was an awesome finish, and I'll take the win. And this week has been really good at this track. I really love Fontana.
Let's bulldoze it then. Let's bulldoze it.
It's funny, all the tracks that we used to hate are now great with this car, and now it's terrible with short tracks and plate tracks.
We hate everything that's going away, or we start to love everything that's going away. That's kind of how it seems to work.
No, this car is just better at the big tracks than the old car was, and not better at the small tracks.
Let's bring back Chicagoland.
Hey, Donnie, you got the P16.
Yeah, so P16 was my first run at it. I kind of used my own set. I took a hybrid between a couple just to see if I can try something different, learn something different. and I was just letting off too early. I was saving too much tire. I think after 44 laps, I had 68% of my tire left up my right front. So definitely nursing it too much. So by the second time I ran, I started running the track a little bit better, but I think I'm still saving a little bit too much. So tonight, I'm going to try the team set a little better and hopefully improve a little bit.
All right, league racing. Brian, OBRL Cup, P23.
Yeah, so it was Daytona, just like we're following the schedule for that series. I had a decent run going. It was kind of cool because I started P21 and wound up hooking on the end of the outside line, and we actually ran a long time with too wide, and that outside line actually was faster than the bottom line. We were catching up. I don't know if it was the line or we were just organized better. It could have been it. And yeah, we just started making a headway and started passing the lower line. The high line pulled forward. So race went really well up until lap with 18 laps to go. I was getting close to the front. I was in the front pack, and I was in decent position, not probably around top 10. And we were too wide again, and we were coming off of 4, and the car that was on the high side got loose coming off of 4 and came down and side slammed me and shot me down to where the entrance to pit road is. I was able to get the car turned and steer away from the wall. I just barely missed the wall. Got back on the track, and but by then I was well off the lead pack, and it stayed green the rest of the way. So I was never able to get the field bunched back together and finished 21th. Field of, it was a 46 car field, by the way, huge field.
That's big for a league. Okay, with that, let's jump to final thoughts. Brian McCubbin.
Yeah, so really cool to get back on NIS. Didn't do it the last half of the season. My iRating took a hard nosedive because I was having internet problems, and I would register the last three or four races I raced in NIS last year. I registered for the race and then had internet problems and got dead last in 3 out of my 4 races, and it just tanked my iRating. It was terrible. But I think I got everything figured out now where that's not going to happen again. So I'm looking forward to nailing this NIS season this year and really working my way through the whole season. So looking forward to it. Can't wait.
Yeah, why not? Let's get to one start a week and let's see where the points shake out. David Hall, final thoughts.
I'm definitely not off to the greatest of starts. Greg was showing his position in Division 2, and then I went and looked at Division 1, and I'm currently 142nd in points. So yeah, got to build up some there. Just start pulling in some good finishes.
All right, Bonnie Spiker, final thought.
Yeah, this weekend coming up is bittersweet. I'm going to Fontana. I've been going there since '98. Missed the inaugural year in '97, but going there in '98 is still one of my earliest memories. That's ingrained in my brain. Hearing the car start for the first time. So, yeah, taking my boys. I guess we're gonna sit through Sunday for 2 races. Sounds like it's gonna be cold.
Bring your umbrella.
It's gonna be really cold. The coldest I've been at anything was a couple years ago at Fontana, the year Alex Bowman won, and that was cold because the wind comes from the north to the south, and it blows right in your face in the grandstands there. So yeah, it's gonna be terrible.
Well, the real question is, what do you consider cold?
So I would say there was 25 to 30 with the wind blowing around. Standing there on cold metal bleachers.
Yeah, I'll give you that if it's actually that chilly. I didn't know it got that cold in California. I didn't think y'all knew anything better lower than 50.
Heck, I woke up at my house today at 19 degrees. It snowed here today, so.
So what? That's still short weather here.
We get it. It's cold up there. I also get to burn in the summer, so that's great.
Okay, Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
I just love bugging Donnie. It's okay. He's gonna be. It'll be hard to see if. I hope he can get through the weekend and actually watch the race on Sunday. I don't want it to be on Monday when I'm at work.
took Monday off. I think it's going to happen. I think both races will happen Sunday.
Yeah, so I'm just looking forward to racing again Friday night, see if I can get that elusive P1 that I need for this track. I really love Fontana, how it races. I love tracks when they wear out. I'm really good with tire wear and fuel management type races, so it kind of suits my style. Um, I was showing yesterday, I think I said, or I was showing to David and them yesterday that I'm almost up 500 I rating since the start of the NIS season. So that's pretty exciting for me considering I was bleeding it out my rear end last year near the end of the year. And I was sitting pretty good in the standings in Division 2 at 8th, and I guess I'm 48th overall in NIS Open in general. So I'll keep taking these things, go up the board, and I guess it'll be a lot more better point stand finish or points percentages if I'm in Division 2 racing Division 1 guys if I get up there with David.
Yeah, you'll be racking them up. Now, what else has changed that's helping bring that I rating up with your?
I'm racing more than once a week.
Yeah, and specifically A opens, because you get a bigger split in the I rating, so you can get kind of bigger gains because you're beating more guy. Even though it may be because they wreck out, you're beating. You get a lot more I rating when you beat a guy with the 6,000 I rating versus a guy that only has 20 more I rating than you.
Well, and I'm also getting a better feel of the setup for the NIS, so using the A's to figure out what I need or what we're missing or I'm missing as a feel, which I was losing last season when I was coming in too late in the week and people had already I was behind when people were feeling out their setups and they already knew what they were racing with.
Yeah, like I'll probably practice about 30 minutes and then I'll try to get at least 2 A opens or 3 before the NIS, because no matter how much testing I do, I don't really know what I have until I get in there with a real pack of real racers. So that's definitely the big advantage, and it's going to put you in a better place for NIS, but also you're gaining more I rating right now, probably because you're really that fast and you just haven't been racing enough to get there.
I also have decided to not run any leagues this year either and just focus on opens. I've actually run some fixes with Mike there where I ran the fix Sunday night. So I don't know if I'm going to run more fixes, but at least get more time behind the seat this season. I want to race a lot better here and enjoy this car this year.
Hey, and newcomer Mackenzie Stevens, your final thought.
Yeah, well, it was exciting to run my first race in the NIS series. I'm looking forward to see how I can improve throughout the season here. Hopefully I can get quite a bit better by the end of it. I'm planning on running it tomorrow night, I think. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to, and possibly Sunday. Hopefully I can have some better finishes in those races.
All right. Well, we're happy to have you. Welcome to the team. My final thoughts. Wow, I'm looking at the points. I'm Division 3 with Tom Dreiling. I'm running 7th in points. Tom is 5th in points. We're about 8 points apart. Man, I can't. I'm just still in shock about how we ran at California. I mean, we had a first, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a bunch of great runs amongst the team, and so very encouraged for tomorrow night. Like I said, I was looking at a win perhaps if I had a few more laps. So I'm going to go into tomorrow night with some confidence and hopefully get that baby. And with that, hey, we'll see you on the track later.